right, so the funny thing is I actually had a video recorded, so I want to talk about this Davante Adams and the Raiders situation, and then we got even more ammo in the past couple hours, so I thought I'll just redo the video. I'll give, probably talk about it a little bit differently than what, I would have in the original video, which was going to go up tomorrow. But I'm putting it up today. We're going up a day early. I'm redoing this video because I really want to talk about this. And we are only 3 weeks in. So that's the main thing I want to start here with is we're 3 weeks into the season. And we're, obviously a couple months out of the trade happening. And anything can change. The Raiders can go on a run and they can win 7 to 10 straight here. And then we're talking about, okay, well, both teams are probably going to make the playoffs. Packers have an easy schedule right now. We have New England, Giants, was it Washington? And then I think there's one more, and then there's the Bills after that. So there's potential for the Packers team here to go 6-1 heading into that Bills game. So I think if they go 6-1, I think you can say that Packers probably make it. And again, if the Raiders go on a run and they win again 7 straight, 8 straight, 9 straight, 10 straight here, then we're talking about both teams making the playoffs. But week 3, we're talking about the Packers winning the trade, and I guess I'll start with what the newest comments were, and I'll put them up on the screen. And I'll summarize it as you can read it and see it. So essentially, Adams, after week 1, where the media, and let me emphasize that the media started this narrative of Davante Adams had, I think it was like 140 yards, 2 touchdowns or whatever in a loss to the Chargers. And then they put up the combined stats of the Packers in the Minnesota game, which I think was like 98 or something like that, 98 yards. I think it was 1 touchdown or something like that. So the media started this week 1. And so a bunch of fans, mainly Packers fans, week 2 and week 3 are firing back at the media saying, hey, look at what, Lazard, I think Lazard week 2 had more receptions and whatnot than Adams. I think maybe it was Sammy. It might have been Sammy. One of the two. And then week 3, like Lazard, Romeo. I don't know who else had more yards. But a couple Packers wide receivers that against the Bucks had more yards. And obviously, did he score a touchdown? I don't remember. I think Adams scored a touchdown against I think he scored a touchdown against the Titans. The Titans. Point is, Adams came out in the past, I don't know, maybe it might have been last night. I just saw the comments this morning, so this might have been made last night in an interview or something like that. Basically saying like, hey, like, why are we doing this? Why are we comparing stats? Whatever. That doesn't really mean anything to me. Kind of pointless and whatnot, and saying, like, these fans are, what are they doing? Kind of, dumb that they're doing this. And nothing was said week 1, for one. He silence week 1. Yes, they lost. Nothing was said at all after he outperformed all of the Packers wide receivers week 1 against the Vikings. Nothing was said week 2 when again, it was either Sammy or Lazard. One of them had a better week than Adams, and nothing was said at all that week. Now that he's 0-3, he came out and said on Tuesday, I'm frustrated, I'm upset, what we're doing here, we're 0-3, like, this is not going well at all. So that, again, led to his comments yesterday, Wednesday, either Wednesday night, Thursday. I don't know exactly when the comments were made. It just kind of blew up this morning, and a bunch of things were, all over the internet this morning. So it was either this morning or last night. That's why I'm saying either Wednesday or Thursday, somewhere in there. And that's when he, made his comments about, stop comparing us. It's kind of stupid and whatnot. The fans are doing this. So I think that he's feeling the pain of a lesser QB. His comments about him calling, not Aaron Rodgers, Derek Carr a Hall of Fame QB are backfiring 3 weeks into the season so far. The offense, the Raiders offense, they've shown sparks, but they haven't looked that good. But they have shown sparks. They should have won that game against Tennessee if Darren Waller knew how to catch. But they should be 1-2, but they're 0-3. They're 2 wins under the Packers right now, who are 2-1 on the season, and we used that money, kind of gave it to I think it was Davante Campbell, Rasul Douglas. Was Jair in that? Jair might have been in that too. I'd have to go back and check. But obviously we paid Jair. We got Davante Campbell back. We got Rasul Douglas back. We got a bunch of big, hard hitters for that defense to come back. And obviously I think, Aaron Rodgers, again, restructured his contract. I think David Bakhtiari did too. So it wasn't all his money that we used to, better this defense. It was, other people restructuring too. So because he was gone, because we had $130 million or whatever it was that we could disperse and put in other areas, that helped our defense take a step. And in my opinion, the Bucks are. I mean, I guess you can say the Minnesota Vikings too, but the Bucks are a playoff team. They're a team that, yes, without Evans, Godwin probably would have never played. I don't think Godwin would have played. I don't think Julio would have played. But if you have Evans out there, maybe the game's a little differently. But they're a playoff team. They're a good team. So I would say Packers, they beat them. 14-12, they beat them. They got the win on the road in Tampa, something they haven't been able to do, and I don't know how long. And the Raiders, you can't really call the Chargers a good team because they keep getting hurt, and I believe they're 1-2. Titans, that's they're a weird team. And then who'd they lose? Oh, and then the Cardinals. Cardinals are. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about the Cardinals. So between the teams, one team has played. Again, if you want, you can count Minnesota if you want. We can talk about that. Packers have played one playoff team, and I mean, again, we'll see how the Titans look in the future. I don't know if the Chargers are going to make the playoffs, but you could say maybe Arizona makes the playoffs. Their division isn't crazy. It's still good, like it was it last year? But Niners took a step back. Seattle really fell off a cliff. And the Rams just aren't clicking. They're not what they were last season. So you could say maybe the Cardinals sneak in at like the 6th or the 7th seed. So one beat a playoff team, the other lost in overtime, should have won that game to a possible playoff team. And I don't think Titans are a playoff team. I don't know if I said that before. Titans, I don't think, are a playoff team. We'll see what happens because they play the Colts this weekend. So if they beat the Colts, I don't know, because I think Jacksonville would still lead the division, which is crazy. That's good. That's crazy as it is. Anyway, so with those comments and whatnot, it's just he's not looking great with a lesser QB, which I mean, in fairness to Derek Carr, probably top 15 in the league. Obviously, there's only 32, but top 20 at the worst, because there are, again, well, I mean, there's rookies, there's sophomore, second-year QBs, which obviously you don't expect to be, crazy good. Derek Carr's in, his 6th season or something like that, fifth or 6th season, something like that. So he's not the worst of the worst. He's not top 25. I think he's at least top 20, maybe top 15. That could be a video. I could easily do a video ranking, in my opinion, ranking the QBs. But, he's taken a step down for QBs. Wow, is it Mac Jones, I think was the guy's name, leads the all wide receivers in receptions, no, not targets. Adams leads in targets. But like completion percentage and all this other stuff. He had a bunch of yards last week in that loss to Tennessee. So like Adams isn't even leading the Raiders in really, again, a lot of stats. And attempts, pass attempts, yes, it's like 39. He only has 17 of them. He's like 17 to 39 or something like that. Maybe it's 16 to 39, something like that. But Derek Carr overthrowing, underthrowing, tip balls, all this other stuff when he's trying to get to Adams. And they're not doing what was hyped up to be. Now, there's a lot of teams that got hyped up. I hyped up the Chargers. I take full responsibility for the Chargers sucking. I was talking about they're going to contend with the Buffalo Bills, and we're going to have a clash in the AFC Championship game, because I thought those were the two best teams in the AFC. I take full responsibility for that. Bills kind of fell off a little bit too, with the Dolphins kind of rising, but they didn't have a secondary and all that. But the Raiders were hyped up too. You get, at that time, the best wide receiver in the NFL. You have a competent offense. I didn't think their O-line was that bad. Darren Waller is a top 5 tight end. You have Hunter Renfrow coming into the season. I think he's injured now. I think. Your defense, their defense is questionable to me. I personally did not believe in the defense. People did believe in the defense. They thought, they're good, they're fine. Derek Carr will keep them off the field. That has not happened. And the defense, again, allowing a bunch of points. They allowed 24 before Tennessee. They could have put up 35 points, 38 points, something like that. Tennessee could have easily maybe put up a 40 bomb. But Tennessee in the second half forgot how to put up points. So that defense, it could be a lot worse point-wise than what it actually is on paper. So they looked like a good, at least offensively, they looked like a good team. Now it feels like the Packers in the mid-2010s here with a defense that is suspect, a downgrade at QB, and good wide receivers. Again, you go Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings. Obviously Adams' rookie year wasn't that good, but you had good wide receivers in the mid 2010s. But it's just the worst QB. They have a better tight end than what we would have had in there. Running back I think Josh Jacobs he's good for running back. Probably better than prime Eddie Lacy was before he went on his whole eating thing and kind of just killed himself, with his body weight and whatnot. He didn't obviously die, but he ended his career is what I mean. Eddie Lacy was pretty good, especially for back then in the mid 2010s. So I guess you could kind of compare that to that. Josh Jacobs to him, but Josh Jacobs actually wants to play in the NFL. So it's not looking good for Adams here. I'm trying to word this good because I don't hate him. If you go and look before the season, there's family reasons as to why he did this. So I can't disrespect him for wanting his grandma to see him, wanting his family to see him. Because obviously, when you get to, December, January here in Wisconsin, it's cold. And it's hard to sit, on bleachers and whatnot. Obviously, he could have, flown him up, put him in, box seats or whatever, make sure the room is nice and warm and toasty and whatnot. You can obviously do that. There's obviously inside parts of the, stadium. But he just couldn't get everyone up there. He didn't know, if his grandma would, be able to make the trip and whatnot. So that I understand. Family-wise, I understand. Football-wise, Packers matched the offer. They matched the offer. They said, you're the best wide receiver in the NFL. We want to keep you around. And Adams basically said, screw you. I'm going to go play with the terrible one. A lesser QB. Let me be professional here. A lesser QB in defense that's worse than what we have now, which, again, we have a top 10, possibly top 5 defense. Special teams, I don't know if there's special teams. Our special teams is pretty dang good, if I do say so myself. So, all 3 sides of the football are worse than what are worse for the Raiders. So I'm having a hard time because I don't flat out hate him. I don't flat out hate him right now. I do think the comments are dumb, what he said, but I want to be professional about this. I want to, give my thoughts honestly, but in an unbiased way. Because we could talk about Brett Favre, and I could just go off on Brett Favre and say how terrible of a human being he is and whatnot. But Adams didn't do anything criminal or anything like that. It just, he hurt the hearts of Packer fans here. And it didn't help with his comments that, again, were just made last night, this morning, and whatnot. So it's got to keep your feelings in check for something like that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I hope he gets injured or anything. Like, that's not me. I don't wish for injuries, even on the Vikings, on the Bears, on the Lions, even on our rivals. I don't wish for injuries. I want to beat our rivals. I want to beat all these teams at full strength. We're healthy, they're healthy. That's what I would prefer to beat. I don't want, well, Julio's out and Godwin's out and Mike Evans got suspended because he did something stupid. Which, again, I mean, that was very stupid of him last week too. So I'm not gonna pray for an injury for Adams. I hope he does well, but right now he's not doing well, and he's realizing that. He's kind of realizing that, but he's got to stick with the Raiders. He's got to stick with his team right now, which is not doing well. And he's going to put some blame on himself and say, hey, I got to do better. We got to do better. All those basic things that they'll say in a press conference. And so whatever happens. If I might get on a high and we make the playoffs and the Raiders are a top 5 draft pick, I might get a little more emotional, let my emotions get the best of me and go like, you're stupid, you're dumb, you should have done that. But we'll worry about that in January when we see the playoff picture and everything like that. Just for now, whatever happens. I don't like the comments he made, but you live with them just like you're living with calling Derek Carr a Hall of Famer. So I'm going to wrap it up here. It's a 17.5-minute video here, but I want to give my thoughts on this, talk about this. For now, though, like the video, share the video around, don't forget to subscribe, and I'm out of here. Peace.